Hello guys, welcome to United's Glory. This is your host Dean Greenwood. Manchester United are top of the league. Manchester United are top of the league. Manchester United are top of the league. No, this video is not broke. I'm not on repeat. It's not fuzzing or anything like that. I'm just saying it because I love saying it. Manchester United are top of the league. This is where we belong. You know, I don't want to get carried away, but, you know, like Gary Neville said, let's just enjoy it. Let's enjoy it because it could all go tits up. And, you know, we know this squad's capable of titting this up, but, you know, it's also capable of doing more than what we expect. So we'll talk about that in this video. We're top of the league, 3 points above the Scousers before a crucial game against them at Anfield this coming Sunday. You know, we can even lose. And we'll still be joint top unless Man City win all their games in hand. So, you know, there is that elephant in the room, but we can lose to Liverpool and Liverpool will only be level with us. Who would have thought we'd be saying that 2 months ago? Who would have thought we'd been saying that when we got spanked by Tottenham Hotspurs 6-1? I mean, I think we can now look at that game as an outlier because that's all it was. I said at the time people were kind of overrating Tottenham's performance in that game. It only really started to go completely against us when Anthony Martial got sent off. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Basically, Gunnar Solskjaer has got us to the top of the league, and Gunnar Solskjaer took a lot of slack, he's took a lot of criticism over his tenure, basically. Obviously, he started off great. We had that new manager bounce. He ended up getting the job full time, and then it literally fell off a cliff. But, you know, Gunnar Solskjaer was there hanging on that cliff, and he's managed to get himself back on the cliff and basically got himself away from that edge. You know, I've been critical of Ollie. I'm not fully convinced by Ollie. There's still some major question marks above Ollie's name, and obviously there still needs to be, because we don't want to get too carried away with ourselves and say that Ollie's been a successful manager yet, because the only way to be a successful manager for Manchester United is to win the league. We're only top of the league. We haven't won the league. So we don't want to get too carried away with ourselves. But, you know, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's been an emotional ride, an emotional roller coaster. There's been plenty of Ollie outers, and they've been staunch Ollie outers. They want him gone. He can't coach. He's a PE teacher. But ultimately, what matters is the results. Football's a results game. Okay, at Manchester United, you know, you need to bring a good footballing philosophy and be enjoyable to watch, because that's what Manchester United is all about. But ultimately, you've got to get the results right first, and hopefully the performances come later. Ollie's starting to do that. But like I said, there's still question marks over him. But can Ollie win the league for Manchester United? Let's look at where we're at. So, our form since Bruno Fernandes has come last January. We're the best team in the country. Clearly the best team in the country. Now, I don't mean that in terms of 11 against 11. I mean that in terms of consistency over a long period of time. And that's how you win Premier Leagues, is consistency over a long period of time. You know, what people often forget about Alex Ferguson's latter end of his tenure at Manchester United is we weren't actually the prettiest team to watch anymore. When Ronaldo left, you know, we still get moments of magic from the likes of Rooney, Berbatov, eventually Van Persie, Nani as well. All capable of moments of magic, which kind of convinced you were playing really attractive football. But what we were a really organised, adaptive team. And that's what I'm seeing from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Look, we park the bus a lot, let's face it. We play deep and we counter-attack. Parking the bus might be a bit extreme because we are looking to counter-attack. But, you know, we do defend a lot. And that's not a usual trait you would expect to see, say it against an Alex Ferguson team. But what we're now starting to see is adaptive traits in this team like we saw with Ferguson's later teams. And it all comes down to Ferguson's assistant managers. Think of Ferguson's assistant manager in the latter years after Carlos Queiroz left. It was Mike Phelan. Mike Phelan's involved in the setup now. And whilst we aren't playing brilliant possession football or anything like that, it's something we need to improve. We need to learn to play possession football, because I don't want us to sit back when we go 1-0 up. I want us to keep possession, bring the opposition out and, you know, manoeuvre some space and obviously score a second and go 2 goals up. I don't want to see us defending a 1-0 lead and trying to counter-attack. But it's working at the moment. But basically, we're starting to see an an adapting footballing team that can adapt against any style of play. We can play against Liverpool, we can play against Man City, and basically any team in the Premier League. We're starting to find ways to break down low blocks. We still struggle a bit. And I believe that's down to the movement of the forward line personally. But, we're finding ways through now. Last year, we were not finding ways through. In fact, because we weren't finding ways through, we'd eventually make a mistake at the back and, we'd go down. And, it was pretty much over because we couldn't break down a low block. But we've got a very adaptable team now that can adapt to situations. And that's what Ferguson's latter teams were like. Even the one with Tevez, Rooney and Ronaldo up front, we were very adaptable to the opponent. And some people might not like that. Some people might like the more recent philosophies that you get from a Jurgen Klopp and a Pep Guardiola, where, you're looking to dominate the whole game. But, those kind of things take years for a coach to really implement and get belief in, and it doesn't always work out. And even if it does work out for a little bit, it could all go tits up. I mean, look at Pochettino at Tottenham. I'm a big fan of Pochettino. Would I like him as a replacement for Ollie if Ollie was to ever go? Sure. I know he's at PSG now, but, obviously he was the big replacement touted for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But, sometimes these philosophies don't last long. 3-4 years at best. Is Ollie going for that Alex Ferguson philosophy of just having a very adaptable team, attack when you can, be attractive when you can, but ultimately get the results first and the performances will come along and improve over time, and then, you just become a better team? Maybe, but obviously it's all about this year because we're top of the league, 17 games in, and, it's a strange feeling because are we the best team in the Premier League? I'd love to say we are, but, that game against Man City in the League Cup semi-final, okay, we didn't have Cavani. You could say we might have been better with Cavani in there because he can hold the ball up. But, I don't think maximum Manchester United right now in terms of their best 11 is quite at the level of maximum Liverpool with their best 11 and maximum Man City. But one thing we've definitely done this year is we've closed the gap, which was the charge for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the beginning of this season. Nobody expected us to win the league at the beginning of the season. Even if we'd have got all the transfers that, were heavily rumoured, the Jadon Sanchos of the world, the Koulibalys of the world, brought to Manchester United, nobody expected us to win the league this year because everyone wanted those to have a year to adapt, and then maybe next year, if we'd have closed the gap enough, we could build on this year and win the league the year after. But, we're in a far better position than any of us expected. And we can actually win the league, but I do think it requires Liverpool and Man City to remain inconsistent. If they find the kind of form they've had over the last 3 or 4 years, especially Liverpool really, because Man City fell off a bit last year, but if they find that kind of consistency, I do think one of those will win the league. But if they remain inconsistent, the league's right there because we grind out results. We grind out consistent results, We do draw here and there, but ultimately we can keep winning these games and, keep piling on the points. And, it could be there. We've got players who can make things happen at any time. People have called it Ollie Ball, and players are just making things happen out of nothing. Individual moments, individual bits of magic, despite playing absolute crap for 90 minutes, that ultimately wins the game. But, as long as we defend well, as long as we are always in the game, we've got players capable of performing this magic and keep bringing the 3 points home. I think we've got a chance. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Like I said, it remains more so about whether Man City and Liverpool don't regain their kind of consistency. But I'm not sure they will. I don't think Liverpool will, not without Van Dijk. And that's the point, is Liverpool have lost their main leader. Manchester United are starting to get more and more leaders in their team. I know Harry Maguire gets a lot of criticism, but not all captains are Roy Keane. I remember Roy Keane days. He was a brilliant captain, the best captain I've ever seen at Manchester United. But you don't have to be that kind of captain. In fact, do you really see that kind of captain in modern football anymore? I mean, Roy Keane used to go around pushing Phil Neville around on the pitch. He went around punching Alan Shearer. If one of Man United's players did that now, the pitchforks would be out for them. Any of them, Harry Maguire does organise the defence, but obviously people call for, say, Bruno Fernandes to be the captain. And I'm not against Bruno Fernandes being the captain. He might even make a better captain than Harry Maguire. But ultimately, Harry Maguire's a captain in his own way. And you can criticise it. First of all, the defence gets scapegoated far too much. Manchester United don't keep the ball enough to protect their own defence. The defence is under constant pressure. And don't get me wrong, I'm not forgiving them for making mistakes, but ultimately you keep having the defence constantly having to defend, then they're going to make a mistake at some point. It's natural. All the best defences throughout history have made mistakes at some point. There's no such thing as a perfect defence. A tangent there, but ultimately Harry Maguire's a good leader in his own way. We've got Bruno Fernandes, who's a leader higher up the pitch. We've got players like Matic, who's a leader. Pogba's a leader. I think the way Fred plays, he's a leader by being so tenacious. He sets the tempo. He conducts the pace of play. Scott McTominay is a leader in his own way. Scott McTominay, in terms of leadership, is probably the closest to Roy Keane. You see him mouthing off at everybody. And obviously nobody really wants to see Scott McTominay as a captain, because is he really good enough to be a first team player for Manchester United? I think he's a great squad player. You need those kind of players. You absolutely need the kind of player that Scott McTominay is in your squad, that will be happy to do the dirty work, or happy to run opponents in the ground. Ferguson teams had it. Your Darren Fletchers, your Nicky Butts, your John O'Shea's when you needed him. Plenty of players like that. But I mean, even back in 1994, I can remember when Roy Keane first came, he wasn't getting straight into the team. He was coming off the bench and doing a lot of the dirty work, whilst Robson and Ince were playing. But where was I? In terms of leadership, we're starting to get more of them over the pitch. Marcus Rashford is, I guess, a leader as well. Players are having a lot more authority in their roles in the team. And, we're starting to see more awards for it. Of course, you can still bring coaching into play. Are we really a well-coached team? No, I don't think so. We're not coached in the same manner as Man City or Liverpool. Are we a badly coached team? I won't say we're a badly coached team. I just don't think, we've figured out a possession game yet. And I do think that's something we need to add to our arsenal, because our possession plays rubbish, despite the fact we've got a lot of good passes. And I think it's more down to the movement of players, because we're very static at certain points. But, might not be needed this year. Maybe that's something in the future. I think that needs to improve down the line. But, in terms of the coaching setup, like I said earlier in this video, we're a very adaptable team. We can adapt to the opponent, and we can hurt teams because our attack is so good. Marcus Rashford makes you want to pull your hair out sometimes, because his 90-minute performances are so inconsistent. But then he produces a moment of magic down the another end. He weren't so good against Burnley. I mean, he was awful against Burnley, actually. He was awful against Burnley. But he goes and provides an assist for Paul Pogba. You can't complain when it ultimately leads to you winning the game. But, if more of these players can get a 90-minute consistent performance, then maybe it can happen. But, like I was saying, our maximum performance probably isn't at the level of a City or Liverpool. But are they capable of their maximum performances? Liverpool certainly aren't without Van Dijk. I'm not sure Man City's mentality is what it was with, say, Vincent Kompany gone a few years ago. They haven't been the same. Sure, they still play silky football and still knock it about and play great possession football, but they don't have the swagger they used to. Liverpool have really dented their confidence as far as I'm concerned. So there's every chance we can win the league. What do I think could help us win the league? A lot of people say bring in a centre-back. Yeah, sure, you can bring in a centre-back, but are they going to settle straight away? It's rare that defenders settle straight away. I mean, especially in January. I mean, I remember when Nemanja Vidic came in, he struggled. And Patrice Evra. And they turned out to be two world-class players in their positions. Arguably two of the best players in the positions in the world at the time they were playing for Manchester United. But the first 6 months, they struggled. But with Eric Bailly coming back into the fold, he is probably our best centre-back. And I've always thought that about Eric Bailly. But can he stay fit? He always has one of those moments every game where you're like, he's about to be injured. No, he's down, he's injured, he's done. You got to get him off. He's not going to play again for 3 months. But, if he can stay fit, we've got a very balanced defence. A very balanced defence. Are all of them perfect? No, of course not. Are all of them world beaters? I wouldn't say so at this time, but, they can grow into world beaters. But, the Bailly-Maguire partnership works better because we can then push further forward and, we can play against teams certain ways, especially teams that with low blocks, and allow players like Pogba to get forward, like he did last night against Burnley, and ultimately win us the game. So, just having that weapon in your arsenal allows you to have more adaptation responses to certain opponents, especially opponents like Burnley we would have struggled with. We did struggle with last year. So, So I guess we'll have to wait and see, really. Paul Pogba's coming into form, which I think will be vital because, Bruno's been overplayed. His form has dipped. Bruno Fernandes's form has dipped. And that's not me having a go at Bruno Fernandes. He should be allowed to have a dip in form. All players have a dip in form. So Paul Pogba's stepping up to the mark and looking like he's actually enjoying his football now. That's going to give us a great chance, keep picking up points. We need other players to step up to the mark. So we need Anthony Martial to start getting back to his goal scoring best. His confidence seems a bit shot at the minute. He should have scored at the end of the game when Cavani put him through with that delicious lofted pass. And then obviously some other players as well. Maybe one of the youngsters could step up. I mean, I don't think they'll get too many chances considering the high pressure situations they're in. But that brings me to another point. Manchester United, where can we slip up? Where can we blow this? It remains to be seen whether we can really handle the squeaky bum time situations, the high pressure situations. Every time we seem to get into one of those, and even though this was the Champions League, in that last game, we bottled it. It was high pressure. We had to win, and we lost. And we went out the Champions League in the first round, despite having an excellent start to that, Champions League group phase. But that's the major disappointing thing about this season so far. But, that seems ages ago now, considering what's going on for us in the Premier League. But, if we get to the latter parts of the season and we get a high pressure situation like that where we have to win, does this team have the mentality to get over the line? Like I said, we do have more and more leaders building into this team, but maybe we could do with some more. I would really like to see sign Jack Grealish because he's a leader at the top of the pitch, and I think we have a leader in defence, we have a leader in midfield, get a leader at the top end of the pitch as well. And okay, maybe he won't play every single game, but we can bring him on and to lead from the front, to lead from the attack. But do we have enough leaders to get over the line in squeaky bum time? I mean, Ferguson's teams had leaders all over the pitch. Do we have that now? We have a lot of leaders, we have more leaders, but maybe not a full team of leaders. Where else? I mean, we can also blow it as well. It's the games where we have to take initiative, basically. We tend to struggle, we tend to play too slow. We come out the blocks too slow at the start of most games. There could be a team that just takes a lead. We can't come back like against, say, Southampton from 2 goals down all the time. It's just not going to work. And obviously, the longer the season goes on and the closer to that title you get with the contenders alongside you, the more hungry they get, the more they can feel it within their grasp. Other teams' form's going to improve. So, we need to maintain the amazing run we've been on since Bruno Fernandes came. When Bruno Fernandes saw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over that cliff, gave him a hand, pulled him back up and said, come on, I'm going to take you down the mountain, but the right way, not falling off the cliff. If we can maintain that kind of form, then sure, we're going to be right up there till the last few games of the season. And, if we do that, we cannot complain about this season because we did not expect that to, at the beginning of the season. Like I said earlier, we didn't get the transfers we wanted. We didn't even have a pre-season. Our first 3 games were awful, absolutely awful. I thought Ollie was going to be gone within a few weeks, especially after that 6-1 Tottenham thrashing, because we just looked dire. But, there's plenty of banana peels along the way, and obviously there's still more than half of the season to go. But, our form is definitely working in our favour over a long period as well. So we can keep finding ways to win. If players like Pogba keep stepping up to the mark, so we don't constantly rely on Bruno Fernandes or Marcus Rashford. if Cavani and Martial start winning with more goals, it is there for the taking. It is there for the taking. As I speak right now, Man City are playing Brighton. I think it's half time and it's 0-0. So, they're not sweeping sides away like they used to. They're not just absolutely hammering them like 8-0. I might be speaking too soon. But, even in the game against us, they played very well, but they weren't ripping us open like they used to and creating like 25 chances. The goals came from set pieces, which is an unusual trait. It's an outlier for Man City to score set pieces. But, we were in the game, we competed with them, and we can compete with them this year. But, we're a very vibey team. We play on vibes. So if the good vibes keep coming, we might gas ourselves to a Premier League title like Leicester did a few years ago. I mean, they were just a complete vibe team, basically. They got to the top of the league and they were on such high vibes. They vibed all the way to the finish line. Can we do that? Well, we should at least try. And it starts again against Liverpool this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. We need to go for it. We absolutely need to go for it. I don't mind us playing on the counter-attack in certain phases of the game, but, at certain points, we've got to push them because their defence is ravaged. And it reminds me of a few years ago when Mourinho came up against Klopp, and they were there for the taking. They were in awful form. And I blame Mourinho for this Liverpool form, because if Mourinho had gone to Anfield at that specific time, I can't remember the exact date, but maybe you'll know which match I'm talking about. But they were really struggling. If Mourinho had gone for it in that game and beat Jurgen Klopp at Anfield after the dire run that they'd just been on, Klopp might have got the sack. I'm not saying he definitely would have. Obviously, I'm not Liverpool's board. But, if he'd have got the sack there, this Liverpool 20th title would never even be on the cards. They would never have ended their 30-year run of no Premier League titles. So I blame Jose for that. But, we're here where we are now, and we need to stop them getting the 20th title because they have the Champions League advantage over us. And we need to close that gap, really. But we at least want to maintain our Premier League title gap over Liverpool and remain firmly on that perch. I'm excited. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section. Thanks for watching United's Glory. Please do subscribe to the channel. Look, even if you don't enjoy the channel after you've subscribed, you can always unsubscribe. But, give me a chance and let's talk Man United, because that's all I really want to do on this channel, is just talk Manchester United. And it's never a bad thing talking about Manchester United. So make sure you subscribe, smash the like button if you think we can win the Premier League this year. Until next time, see you soon.